Well, friends, we're back with some Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 news. It appears that the episode titles have been released. I almost said leaked, but I'm pretty sure they were officially given to us by the powers that be. So, without spending any time really thinking about them whatsoever, here they are, the titles for Season 3. I'm sure I'll come up with more answers or ideas later, but let's just go through them really quick. The first episode, Hegemony Part 2. Pretty obviously going to be the conclusion to that 32-and-a-half-year cliffhanger with the Gorn. We'll find out who survives. We know mostly who survives, but Batel is probably the biggest question up in the air. How will they solve the problem? All of that stuff. Okay, then we go to Episode 2, Wedding Bell Blues, which... not entirely certain. I think this is probably going to be the episode where Chapel and Corby either get engaged or something. My thoughts from the trailer we saw ahead of time when Chapel and Spock are in bed together, that's not a real scene. That's Chapel having some sort of what do you call it? An existential crisis dream, I suppose. Having feelings for Spock, but marrying someone else or getting involved with somebody else. I do believe there's going to be a time jump between episode 1 and 2, so maybe their relationship will actually be more fully evolved than just meeting in this season. Then we have episode 3, Shuttle to Ken-Fori or Ken-Foray or something. Now, the first thing that came to my mind randomly, this is going to be the zombie Klingon episode, based purely on that name being a playoff of Ken-Foray or Ori, however you pronounce his name. I think it's Ken Foray, the actor who was in a lot of horror movies, but specifically like Dawn of the Dead and things like that. So whether or not that turns out to be true, that's my random guess for that. Then we have A Space Adventure Hour, episode 4. That's going to be the episode that's kind of homaging classic Star Trek and older sci-fi. Whatever that has to do with, if it's subspace shenanigans causing it, if it's a play, if it's temporal whatchamacallits, I don't know, but that's going to be that episode, I think. Now, Through the Lens of Time clearly sounds like it's going to be some type of time travel or things going on with time, somebody looking at their future or their past, something that has to do with time. Now, not necessarily time travel, but it could potentially have something to do with time travel. I don't know. It might have that episode where we have to see them rig up the ship with old-fashioned phones. Maybe it has something to do with that, and the time is just something's gone wrong, so they have to use anachronistic technology. I'm not certain. That definitely sounds like a mirror universe title. Well, not really, because it's not the mirror universe, but they always said like Through a Broken Mirror, poetic sort of titles like that when it's the mirror universe. I don't think they're doing a mirror universe episode here, at least. I don't know if it would really make sense within the timeline to shoehorn another mirror universe story in here, but who knows, they could do something like that. Then this one, the Sailot Who Ate Its Tail. Originally I was thinking this was going to be the Vulcan story where they see them all turning into Vulcans, but clearly that's coming a little later. Now this reminds me of the snake that ate its tail, or just time loops in general maybe, so it might have something to do with possibly tying into that no, I can't think of the name of it. The most famous animated series episode where Spock uses the Guardian of Forever to go back and save himself as a child with his pet Sailot and all of that. Maybe there's some sort of time loop going on with that. Would be interesting if that's the case, because those events happen in the future of the show, but I don't know. That's just the first thing that pops into my mind. Maybe there's something completely different going on. Maybe this has to do with Patton Oswalt's Vulcan-looking character, or maybe the Wedding Bell Blues has to do with that too. Maybe he's the one getting married. Just wild guesses. Then we have What is Starfleet? I'm wondering if this is going to be that centennial celebration we see. Now, I know the centennial celebration is actually for the Federation, not Starfleet, but I'm not certain which one of these other episodes really fits that scenario, other than I do believe, at least in my theory, that episode is also going to be the holodeck episode. They go to this centennial celebration and they get to view the first iteration of a holodeck being kind of proven as a new technology. I don't know. What is Starfleet? It could just be a by-the-book episode of Star Trek, watching our characters come to decisions using Starfleet knowledge and logic and training and all that stuff. Or maybe somebody has an existential crisis about what Starfleet is. Not really sure what the storyline would be there, but kind of a cool title, I suppose. Then we have 4.5 Vulcans. This is clearly that comedic episode where they all get turned into Vulcans that we saw in the teaser clip, I guess you could say, that was released probably over a year ago at this point. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it. So that's that episode. What the storyline's actually going to be there, I don't know. It's probably going to be hijinks and more farce and stuff like that. We've had one of those kind of Vulcan episodes per season so far, so looks like we're just getting another one of those. Then we have Terrarium. The first thing that sprung to mind here is kind of those Twilight Zone or Orville, or we've seen them in a lot of things now, Futurama, where somebody gets put into some sort of zoo exhibit. Now, Terrarium specifically brings to mind, to me at least, lizards, snakes, that sort of thing. So do they have a captured Gorn, or is this something to do with coming to learn who the Gorn truly are? Is this kind of a replay of, I keep saying kind of, I'm sorry about that. Is this a takeoff of Arena? Do we have a Gorn and a Federation character trapped together or something? Do we get to actually see Gorn society more and realize that they're not these evil monsters? I don't know. Just sprung to mind because Terrarium, lizards, and that seems to be what we're going with here. Then finally, new life and new civilizations. I'm wondering if this is going to be a fresh launching point for a new direction. I don't think that it's going to set up anything along the lines of transitioning to the full original TOS cast, but it seems like maybe after the events that take place here, they're going to be sent out on more exploratory missions into the vast unknown of the galaxy, where it seems like so far it's been less about that in Strange New Worlds. Or maybe it's just your average Star Trek episode where they come into contact with some new form of life in a wacky, weird civilization that's unknown to everybody. I think it's probably going to be leading to another cliffhanger before season 4. So what or who that could be, I don't know. Those are just my off-the-cuff thoughts after looking at this for 4.2 seconds after it just dropped earlier. I'm sure you'll come up with a lot better ideas about what these titles mean. I'm sure I'll probably come up with things I wish I said after I actually spend any time at all thinking about them, looking at the trailer, or even remembering what happened 42 years ago when we actually saw the last season. But what do you think's going on with this? Do any of these titles excite you? Do you have any idea whatsoever? Leave all your thoughts down below. Like, share, subscribe, join. And until next time, computer, end program.